Hey people, how y'all doing today? Okay, so there's been a video that has been going around with the title basically saying 5 reasons why you shouldn't play gigs that pay $100. And I disagree with this video in every way, shape, and form. And I'm going to explain why, okay? First of all, I would like to just say that I'm not here to bash this person that made this video, but rather I'm just here to say this is my point of view, and here are the reasons why I disagree with it, because I myself, I am a professional drummer, songwriter, producer, and I have been playing for more than 30 years of my life and still playing and still gigging and still doing, everything that I can to be in the music business. So, with that said, I would like to get into a couple of key points, okay? Number one is it's bad advice because if you're a beginner, right, and you're telling someone that you shouldn't be playing gigs for $100, and especially towards a beginner, number one, before that beginner has even paid their dues, you're already advising someone not to take a gig that's paying less than that. Like, that makes no sense. That's first of all. Second of all, that's bad advice because number one, as a beginner, I would tell any beginner, take any gig, because the whole idea is to grow. And in order for you to grow, you have to play a couple of gigs, not just, to play them, but also to network. Because if nobody knows who you are, simply because you're thinking, oh, well, I'm worth more than $100, and yet your talent alone doesn't even begin to say, well, it's worth $100 or more, then you've basically shot yourself in the foot. And number two, you're talking out of bullshit ego. So let's eliminate that. Seriously, okay? Let's eliminate that. Okay. Another thing about this advice, why it's bad, and especially for beginners, is it gives beginners a false sense of how to add value to their to their craft. Because, give example, like when I was a beginner, in the beginning stage, I just basically played every and anywhere. Matter of fact, I played just about every gig, if I'm being honest, for free. And the whole idea was just to get myself out there. But 90% of it was not just getting myself out there, was because I needed the experience. The key word here is experience. You don't get experience by simply valuing yourself and saying, I'm worth more than $100 to go play wherever it is that you might get called to go play, before you have even shown why your talent and why your craft is worth $100. That makes absolutely no sense. Okay, so that's bad advice as far as that's concerned. Okay, now, point number two is prideful musicians. Okay, first of all, let me just, tell y'all something about myself, and I'm just going to share a couple of experiences, okay? I have, and even to this day, I've played many gigs where they paid less than 100, and it wasn't about the money factor, but it was so much, it was so much the factor that it was a gig that I got to play with people who, one, I enjoy playing with, two, sometimes those gigs that do pay less end up leading to more gigs that could pay the $100 or even more. Okay, and here's a perfect example. So Last week, a friend of mine, I'm not going to call out any names, but anyways, a friend of mine called me. And as a matter of fact, the person who called me to come and fill in for a gig, the guy's a legend in this game, okay? So, anyways, he called me to come and fill in on a gig, all right? Now, even though he told me the details, it was going to be basically I just came in, I filled in, and you just play some songs, whatever they call out, hit it, quit it. But he was confident in my talent to say, bruh, you got this. And he didn't have to question nothing. He just said, listen, I would like for you to come and play this gig with me that I normally do, blah, 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 and let's have some fun. So, of course, because he asked me, and yes, I was available, that's why, and I went and I played this gig. Now, this gig that I played comprised of a lot of musicians. And it was funny because the place I played in, it basically was a hole in the wall. Okay, very tiny club, hole in the wall. However, once we started to play, the place, by the time the first set was done, was ram packed. But the vibe amongst, not just playing with my friend, and there were loads of just legendary musicians, great musicians, musicians who, are still up and coming. But the whole idea here is we're just here in the name of fun and just making good, solid music. So what I'm saying here was, if it wasn't for me playing that one gig, just the fact that I played the gig and the networking alone, okay, end up being in my favor, right? So had I had the thought that, oh, this gig needs to be paying 100 just to get me out there to play the gig, then I would have missed out on all of the opportunities and all of the possibilities that could have been coming my way. So, that's another reason why. And another thing I wanted to point out. Now, if you're at a point in your career where, let's say, a lot of the gigs or a lot of the things that you get called for pay more than 100, and that seems to be pretty steady, and you don't necessarily have to take $100 gig, then fine, you know what I mean? And and also to that point, now I'm not here to hate on anybody who feels like they're worth more than 100. I'm like, hey, if that's what you feel, you do what you feel is best that you can live with, and that's fine. But I will say this at the same time, is that sometimes you need to be careful, because if you put it out there that you're worth more, and especially if you're not quite in that position, to have that demand, or rather, even if you are in that position, sometimes that can be more of a downfall than really it works in your favor. And here's a perfect case in point. So there's a drummer. Yes, I'm going to call out names. So there's a drummer by the name of Ray Lutzer. Sorry if I got your last name wrong, brother. I'm so sorry, but I'm just here to drive the point. But anyways, so on Facebook, and I remember seeing this very specifically. So on Facebook, one day he was talking about the fact that he's the drummer for this rock band called Korn. Now, Korn is a huge rock band that's out there and still playing to this day, and they have all these songs out there, yada 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 yada. Great. Now, obviously, what he gets paid compared to $100 gig, I mean, it that surpasses way more. But anyways, so what he was saying was that granted, when he's busy with the band, it's it's busy and life is moving. no problem. But here's what he said that really struck a chord with me, was, and it was very humbling at the same time. He said that, the only downfall to him working with this band was that, the times that the band is not working, and the times that, he would like to go out and just play certain gigs, people are under the impression that either A, he's not available because he's out, or B, people are going to charge him more. And so he goes on to say that he just so happened to get a call from one of his friends to go play a wedding. And as a matter of fact, the wedding was paying like $100 and something. And he said yes, simply because of he had a chance to go play with people that he liked. It had nothing to do with the money. As a matter of fact, he wasn't even saying, oh, well, I can afford that. No, he never said anything like that. All he simply said was, I was doing it under the premise, the fact that I got to play with people that I like and, I hardly get the chance to play with. So he said, he went and he played the gig just like as though he was just an average musician. And so he's going on to say that, he would like to be able to do those gigs sometimes, provided he's available. But again, it goes down to the perception. But the bigger point of why I'm bringing up this story is that if a guy like him is willing to accept a gig that pays less, okay, then who the hell are you to advise anybody, oh, well, you shouldn't be taking no gig because it's paying, less than $100 and all this other yin yang. Come on, that's bad advice and that's prideful bullshit, okay? So if Ray, who is at the top of his game, can accept a gig way less than what he makes on that rock gig, who the heck are you to advise anybody, okay? So that's another point. Also, here's another point I wanted to bring out, which is very, 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 very critical, okay? Not everybody is in the same financial, and I want to make sure that, I talk about this. Not everybody is in the same financial position. So, meaning, if you're a musician that solely relies on gigs, and this is how you pay your bills, this is how you pay your rent, the problem sometimes is that if you overprice your value, and especially if you're in a market area where what you're pricing and the people that are out there gigging, it doesn't quite supplement that, then it makes no sense, okay? So sometimes, in some cases, you have to eat what is called a humble pie, right? And I'm just going to use myself as an example. Like, there have been times where I wasn't really making a whole lot, and so because of that, I would take a gig paying 50, I would take a gig paying 75, I would take a gig paying 100, 100 and something, 200, whatever, and of course, there's some gigs I take on, even though it might pay less, but it's the back end of it that makes you say, yes, I don't mind. But also, from the financial point of view, is that this is how I'm looking at it, okay? So let's say today I play a gig for $100, all right? And I get another gig paying me 50 3 days after, and it just so happened somebody called me to play a gig for 50, right? And then somebody else calls me to play a gig for 100. So you add up 100 50, 50, 100. How much do you get? That's $300, okay, in your pocket. All right. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is if you don't have anything going on and you took on that gig, then that's $300 in your pocket versus if you're going to have foolish pride about, oh, well, I can't play those gigs because, it's paying $100 and I need to get more. Well, then that's $300 that you missed out on. And not only you missed out on the $300 that you could have had in your pocket, and that could have paid a bill, that could have paid, food, transport, it could have paid whatever. You never know. But also at the same time, those gigs that I called out, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, that is 4 times that you've missed out not only on the networking but on opportunities, because with every gig you just never know what you may come across. You may never know that somebody might say, hey, could you come and play this gig? Come to find out, you get on the gig and the person is the MD of some gig that pays more. Or sometimes it could work out that you do a gig, which I've done many of those. You do this one gig for 50, and because of you doing that one gig for 50, that leads to you doing the gig every week. So you have to be smart about it. You know what I mean? You got to be smart about it. And so because that led to you doing it every week, so think of it this way, all right? So if you're thinking, okay, I'm worth more than $100. Let's say you're worth 120, but you're not working, but you're getting offered gigs where it's paying you, 50 a week. So 50 times 4, that's 200, right? So one might say, well, that's kind of low. It might be low, but again, here's the thing. You're playing and you're being seen. And that's, the bigger picture of it. And the more people can see that you're out there, the more people can see that you're playing, then yes, that's the whole, that's what brings in the money, And so another thing I just wanted to bring up is this is part of why I do YouTube and I put myself out on social media and all this other stuff. Because these days, by you putting yourself on Instagram, YouTube, okay, whether it be 1 minute of you playing, a couple of minutes, whatever, it doesn't matter. These days, it's like your business card, because the minute you say to someone, listen, go to my Instagram, and your Instagram page has videos of you playing, or especially on your YouTube, where you can say, listen, you can go to my YouTube channel, and you can see my playing. Oh, and by the way, speaking of my YouTube channel, please subscribe to my channel to keep up with all of my videos. But anyways, on that point, so getting back to the point. So the whole idea is that when someone is viewing you on video, not only they get to see how you play, but also they get to see how you look, how you dress, how you present yourself, everything. Everything is right there. And not only that, on my YouTube, my contact is also listed in the description if you want to reach me. It's no different with Instagram. You go on Instagram, if you like what you see, somebody wants to hire me, my contact is right there on Instagram to, contact me and say, hey, listen, I have an opportunity. And then it's just a matter of negotiating what the opportunity is. So, so my conclusion is to say that so my conclusion is to say, listen, I know this guy means well, but it's just bad advice altogether, because the whole idea here is that you simply never know where one gig can lead to many gigs. Or sometimes it could be a case of you might be playing for free and you don't know what opportunities or what networking that could have opened up to. So all I'm saying here in conclusion is just use your best judgment when you're going out there and you're gigging, and make sure that when you're deciding to do a gig that you're doing it because, one, you simply want to play, two, you simply want to get out there, three, whatever the money is, you can live with that. All right. So there's my thoughts on that video. So in the meantime, please subscribe to my channel. Please hit that notification bell so you can keep up with all of my latest videos. Okay. Also, give this video a like. 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 Okay. Share this video with your family and your friends. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Do you think what I'm saying here has any value? Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you disagree? Let's get a discussion going, okay? So, as always, one love.